and the other resources that we share. But Tracy, if you want to go ahead and begin the recording, thank you. And Denise,
do you want me to start sharing? Okay.
Sure. If you want to go ahead and get started.
All right. There we go. So welcome everybody. Welcome back. Are you going to do the introductions again?
Sure, I'm happy to.
Okay, I just thought that's what it said. Okay. We're community resources for science.
And if you want to go ahead to the next slide.
Okay, there we go.
And I hope that through all the changes this spring, as some of the schools are talking about bringing students back, and your plans, your carefully made plans for the last part of the school year might be getting some juggling going on. We hope that all of you are keeping in mind that the work that we do together to make sure science doesn't fall off of the elementary school day experience for kids. These are the kids who are going to be our inventors and innovators and problem solvers for whatever challenges we face in the coming decades. So we are really working together to inspire and get prepared this next generation. Denise, if you can go to this slide. So we will share these links for you. Again, all of the resources that you need that we'll be sharing, the slides, we will put those documents out there for you. And I hope by now you've all bookmarked the CR Science website, and by filling in the exit survey, the exit ticket surveys, you are far along on qualifying for Science Superstar recognition. So be sure to do the exit ticket today. And we are also providing an opportunity for your students to share with us and show us what inspires them in science. And so we'll talk about that a little bit at the end as well. So go ahead, Denise.
And that's us, yeah.
By now, I hope you all know both of us, and we're happy to see all of you again.
Okay, and this is what we're working on today. What makes plants grow? I knew that wasn't really grammatically, and I'm the English teacher, correct, but it made me think that's kind of what we really want. We really want plants to grow. It worked for me, so I left it there. Okay. Here are our goals and objectives for today. I'm going to give you time to look at some online resources, time to look at your materials if you have them. We're going to start a 3-part activity. We'll give you time to collaborate with others at grade level and time to plan your life science unit for this year. And if you have your materials, some of you got your materials already, you can have time to sort them because we left it up to you to sort them for your students. And we just did some introductions. Sort out on your special plant from last time. Have some breakout room time to talk. And we're going to look at the phenomenon of fast plant growth. Start a 3-part activity with seeds. Look at more life science resources for future use. And at the end, give you time again to collaborate and plan and sort your materials. All right, I'm hoping I can get a little interaction here because this kind of goes back to what we did last time. Did you remember to keep track of the changes on your special plant? Did you notice any changes? Did you have time to let your kids work on that? What changes did you see? Is the weather any different? Surroundings change at all? We're trying to get sort of a move on to the idea of the whole habitat of the plant a little bit. So if you want to take just a minute to go look at your special plant from last time, when was it? 2 weeks ago, I think. You could add to your science notebook if you want to. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share out about their special plant from last time?
And before you do that, Denise, I wanted to just interrupt and yes, give people a second to make those observations and make a few more notations. But there are a couple of people who haven't quite put their grade level in their Zoom name, and I'm making the breakout room. So let me know what grade level you would like to meet with by adding a number or a letter in front of your Zoom name. Thanks.
Okay. You can talk in the chat, although I can't always see it when you do, but did anybody have any to notice about their special plant that they were observing over time? I know mine was bare last time we met, and now it is just filled with greenery, all different sized leaves and things.
Mine added a couple leaves.
A couple of leaves, just a couple. Okay, thanks for sharing. Anybody else?
Mine bloomed.
Oh, totally bloomed. I've seen a lot of that as I drive around. Mine didn't actually bloom, but that to me is just kind of exciting.
Mine's budding.
So this was definitely a time of change, right? Did anybody notice the weather changing? I don't know. Our weather hasn't changed that much, really, has it? Any big surroundings, changes in the surrounding of your plant? Okay, I'm just going to wait just a minute, give you some time to look at it and think about it.
There's some nice comments in the chat. People are talking about having lots of leaves or it growing taller. They're noticing that the environment around is much warmer. There's more grass.
Oh, good.
They've had to give more water because it's warmer.
Yeah.
And some people have noticed there's more daylight and that flowers are blooming.
Good. Well, we're right on track for spring. That's good. I like that. Okay. You can continue that, but the next part too is, all right, we did the sharing of the notebook. Sorry, that's where I was supposed to be. Did you track the changes? Notice and wonder about things?
Is there anyone who'd like to show their notebook?
Yeah, that's a good one. I can stop sharing. Do we have any volunteers? I'm going to see if anybody wants to just hold it up. Did you show you can? No? Okay. I'm going back then. All right. Okay, this is what we're going to be thinking about for the first part of this lesson. What did the student scientists do? Did you have any chance to do any of the activities that we shared last time, or any other life science activities? I like this little guy right here. He's very busy. Okay, we were gonna go into breakout rooms and give you a chance to talk about that with people in your grade level. Is that correct? What you've done in life science activities. So I guess Teresa's put us in grade level, and we didn't put really any assignments, just talk about what you've done in life science. Maybe somebody can share out afterwards.
Yeah, we'd like to hear if you've done any of the lessons that that we shared at the last session, or yeah, what are you planning if you're just beginning to plan to do something? What are you planning to do? And I am going to go ahead and open out the breakout rooms, and we're going to give you 5 minutes. You should have about 3 people in your breakout room, so that should give everybody a chance to talk about what you've done, if you've done anything at all in life science yet, or what you might be planning to do over the next week or when you get back from winter break. Oh my gosh, no, spring break. All right, I'm going to open your breakout rooms and you have about 5 minutes. Here we come. I believe everyone is back, Denise.
Okay, so what did you discover? I know the people I talked to were pretty busy doing lots of life science. Would somebody like to share out? Miss Seuss?
So because we didn't know what to do with the kits yet, and last year I did these, just grew grass. We call them grass heads. So then we just put a face on the cup, we sent home dirt and grass seeds, just lay on the top, and they should sprout like within a week, but it really depends on how much they keep them wet. So if they keep them wet, really, in the classroom, we were spraying them all day. But so the more, the wetter they are, the faster they'll sprout. And then they look really funny and cute. And then we're going to start the kits when we get back, when we know what to do with the materials.
Nice. Anyone else?
Was there a first grade group? Or a kindergarten group?
So I'm at the same school as Miss Cease, and I sent home, well, they're growing grass seeds as well, but they're going to make observations, and we've made it into an experiment. So same concept, and we'll send home the kit next time.
Great. Did anyone do living versus non-living yet? Oh, see some now. Any interesting questions or observations that students made when you began to think about what's living and what's non-living?
The group I talked to, they hadn't really had that discussion yet. They just sort of divided them up. So they were curious about, the wood in the table, all the usual questions, kind of, is that living or non-living? Or
It gets really interesting.
it does get interesting.
Sorry, I'm putting in the document that has all of the links. Again, I know some of you mentioned getting the materials out. Last time we did living and non-living, and then we introduced the seed sprouting activity. And it sounds like maybe some of you have already started the seed sprouting activity, so that's exciting. And then today we are going to go a little deeper into some of the other types of things to do with planting
and the materials you have. Yeah.
Materials, yeah.
All right, so now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, again. Whoops. Sorry, that took a minute to get there. Okay. All right, so talking about that, about watching the phenomenon, the growing of plants, I'm gonna go to this opening. Those, you'll have those there, but this first one is a full lesson with this wonderful little fast motion. Let me get all set up here again, I'm sorry. Fast motion thing. I'm not gonna read the whole thing to you, obviously. You could do it, but it's made me start thinking when I saw this about living and non-living, about what does it mean. I think you get a really good idea about two really important phenomenon in terms of living and non-living. What are those things doing? It goes on for a little while, so just let it listen. So what do you see happening there? What are the plants doing? Anybody?
They're reaching towards the light.
Right, they're reaching, they're moving,
Growing.
they're growing, yeah. And it's really a cool thing. And then this is a whole window water the plants as needed. It's a pretty, I've done this before a long time ago. I'd kind of forgotten about it. And Teresa shared this with me. It's a really nice little activity, meets all of the standards. So you'll have access to that. I just wanted to show you that it's all there. But it made me think about this. And what I wanted to find some fast motion videos that would show the sprouting of the seeds in the ground. And I found there's lots of them. There's tons of them. You can pick your own kind of music. You can have classical music or jazz music. This bottom one goes all the way to a flowering sunflower. That's pretty exciting. I thought that was really cool. But I wanted to show the next one because it starts underground and you get to see all of the sprouting and everything. It's really, I think it's exciting. I love this one. I'm just gonna play it for a minute. Isn't that beautiful? I'm not going to do the whole thing, but and like I said, there are tons of them. You could watch them all day, like the title says. My favorite one was the jazz music. I was thinking of you, Rachel, when I put that one on there. So this is just a small sampling of what you could show your kids. And I also found some more mystery science lessons that I just wanted to bring to your attention. This first one, the 5-minute video, I'm not going to show any of these. I'm just going to talk about them a little bit. Was great. It shows how water helps plants move, and it's very distance friendly. It's just a 5-minute video. I liked the second one. I think it was a first grade, or it might have been a mini lesson. I'm sorry, I can't remember. But I liked it because it was a way the extension could be to look in your neighborhood for the biggest tree you can find right around your classroom, or your home or your classroom if you make it back. And there's a lot of good math vocabulary there about measuring how tall things are, how big around are they. And then I really liked this second grade adaptation game. It was just something that I thought was good, just recommending the 3 of those. And now we have, these are your materials. This is what you should have received, or you will receive if you have it now. And Teresa, you want to explain to them exactly what they got here?
Yes. Sorry, somebody was having trouble with the link, so I was checking the links and sending them again. They are all set to work for everybody. So hopefully I can see that people are on them. So they are working for some people. So if you're having trouble, we'll figure it out afterwards. But yes, these are the materials. Thank you so much to John and his team for getting the packages assembled and for getting them out to you. And hopefully you'll be able to get them out to your students. And so they are going to have the materials for the lessons that Denise shared with you last week, and the lessons that the last session, and the lessons that you'll have access to this session. So you should each have received, this is what your students would get. You got the bulk set of them, and we're going to give you time today. If you need a little bit of time to sort those into the individual student packets, your students will be getting a science notebook. So hopefully if you're not already using them, through the rest of the year, you can have them use their science notebooks.
There it is, right there.
We'll be getting some popsicle sticks for stirring and mixing the soil, and some peat pots for planting. And Denise will be showing you how to use those. You'll get one of those cute little, I think they're called Growfetti flowers that have it's paper, like handmade paper that has some seeds already embedded in it. So that's a nice thing to put in the Ziploc along with the paper towel with some of the radish seeds and the wheatgrass seeds. And that was, I believe you showed the sprouting activity the last time, correct, Denise? So the photos, the slides, the step-by-step for that lesson were in the resources for last time. And that Ziploc bag is a convenient, a nice little mini greenhouse for sprouting those seeds. And if the students use, there's a dropper. If you want to be real scientific, you can have them use the dropper and talk about how many droppers full of water they are putting on their paper towel to get it wet, how many droppers they're putting in their pressed flour there to get it wet, and then set up their science notebook to track what happens each day and when they first notice it sprouting and what they observe about the differences between the different types of sprouts. And then you're also getting some soil pods. And I know there was a little bit of confusion. We had to order some that were peat and some that were cocoa based. So they're slightly different. They have slightly different shapes, and visibly you can distinguish between them. The ones that look like almost poker chips, they're really flat and smooth. Those are from peat. The ones that are a little bit more rough and textured, those are cocoa. It doesn't really matter, especially for the K2s. Just use what you have, and they should all work fine. We talked about offering 2 different kinds of soil so that you would have the potential, if you were wanting to set up an experiment and students wanted to try to have a different variable, the 2 different types of soil could be a variable. But because they're not labeled, that might be too confusing, especially with the K2s. I wouldn't worry about it. Whatever soil they have, they're going to perform about the same in terms of the activity, adding water and the things that Denise will walk you through in terms of the steps. And then you'll have a couple of cups, and you'll have some in the bag of seeds. You should also have, there should be some green bean seeds for every kid to get 2 or 3, maybe 4, depending on the number of students you have, green bean seeds in their packet. And hopefully this will give you enough to get some really fun planting activities going, sprouting and planting and talking about growth, and combining that with looking outdoors and seeing what is observed in the parks, the yards, the schoolyards, whatever outdoor spaces kids have access to over the spring, looking at the weather, taking note of change of the weather. I think some of that came up in the chat earlier. So hopefully those are all going to be of use to you.
And I just had a question too. I didn't, this is what I received, and I didn't get any measuring. Did they have measuring, paper measuring?
I believe they got a measuring tape.
And let me go back here.
Yeah, you didn't get it, Denise, so you didn't get everything that they got, sorry. So yeah, your students should have received a paper measuring tape that you can use for measuring maybe the height of the green bean plant growth.
Right, that's what I was thinking. I just wanted to make sure they knew it was there, even though you can't see it on this picture here.
Thank you. Yeah, so there's a lot to sort, and so we are going to include some time today. I know some of you have already sorted your materials, but we will include some time. And for those who want some support in sorting, we can do a breakout room and help people figure out what goes in what, which bags.
Right.
Any questions about material?
Yeah, let me go back. Yeah, any questions about anything? I am going to just show you some pictures about what it looks like as you move along.
Great.
Okay. All right, so I did a pretty simple, easy lesson plan. It's just planting in 3 stages. And maybe you want to do all of them. Maybe only the 2nd grade teachers want to do the last stage, but it starts with the sprouting. And even though I'm the one that requested the materials, I forgot that green beans don't sprout, and my green beans still have not sprouted. However, it was an experiment. Now I know you don't have to find that out for yourself if you don't want to, but you can put the flower pod in it, water. This is just like the top of a plastic, and it looked like it was ready to explode when I first put the water in there. It was great. And the radishes, you could also put it inside here where I put my green beans. There's plenty of room to put it in there. And to put, I just put 4 radish seeds in my plastic bag. And as you can see, this was doing wonderfully. And at night, my cat took it out of this dish and dragged it upstairs, and I woke up to it on my pillow. So it doesn't look very scary here, but if you wake up in the middle of the night with a wet thing, you don't know what it is on your pillow, it was a little scary. But the sprouting works for sure. And science sometimes has weird things happen. So that's it. Okay, before we can go to the next part, you need to grow your soil. And this is one that had this, I think this was not the peat, but the other one. And just so you know, this is about how much water I put in. And it was great. It just dissolved, it was fine. And then I thought, well, what if I put more water in? Don't put more water in. So yeah, I'm showing you examples of what to do and what not to do. Don't try to sprout green beans, and don't put too much water in your soil cup.
You probably want to start with the equivalent of about a tablespoon of water. And then, or if your students are using their droppers, their pipettes that you received, 1 pipette, and then watch what happens and stir it a little with the popsicle stick, and then add another pipette full and watch it and stir with the popsicle stick. And that you should have enough extras for the teachers to experiment as well.
And yeah, that I didn't have any idea, so I just guessed this, and it was fine. And so obviously after you set up your sprouting, however you're going to have them set it up, it could take a day if you have anything that is sprouting. And then you'll have to grow your soil. I know it's not really growing, you're just adding water to it, but like that. And don't add too much water. And then the third step of the lesson is when you do get some sprouts, or later on after that, you can plant them. And I just planted, I did this part on purpose because I'm going to talk next about experimenting. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So I planted my radish seeds inside a peat pot. I planted 3 beans inside of here. 2 of my radishes are already sprouted. The rest of them are the seeds that are in the envelope. And then I just planted the flower sprouts. They kind of dissolved, and I planted them in here, and I didn't have another peat, so I did that. So this is the third part of after a few days of things growing and growing, after you plant them, you're going to have them grow, hopefully. Hopefully you'll end up with something like this. And then you're going to have experimentation you can do on it. So that's the third part of the lesson. What helps plants to grow? And first you'd have to talk about, how do you know if a plant is healthy? I mean, obviously if it's grown, you've done something right. But how do you know if a plant is healthy? Does anybody have any ideas about that? What does a healthy plant look like? Cats, or unmute and give me a.
Well, one of the things I know with sprouting is it's not too leggy.
I'm sorry, it's not too what?
Leggy, like it doesn't get too tall when it's trying to find the sun, because that doesn't transplant well.
Yeah. So you can
Lots of people are suggesting they're green, vibrant green, to be healthy.
They're green, yeah, they'll be healthy. Okay, so I did plant my sprouted radish seeds, and they actually are growing now. But I think for the kids, you might just plant the green beans, because it might be hard for little kids to get those little tiny sprouts into these cups or into any kind of cups. Okay,
Yeah, so I think that's one of the ways where when we present this material and these ideas, you'll have to think about what's right for your particular group of kids. You might, especially with the younger kids, just do the sprouting with the wheatgrass and the radish and talk about sprouting and germination and have that be a whole lesson, and a separate whole lesson starting with the planting with the green beans based on what you learned about plant sprouting and what kinds of ideas they have about what might happen. And so, but if you were working with second graders, they might feel, you might think they're pretty good at, and they might be able to transplant those tender little radish sprouts into some soil. So you have the lesson plan that's written up, and you have the opportunity to sort of customize that as you think is appropriate for your particular students. Denise, there's a question about, did you put a drainage in the plastic cups?
Okay, this was just from this, these are not my plants. These are from the internet, but no, I didn't. If I go back to the ones that I actually planted, whoops, sorry, I went the wrong way. This one is going to have a problem with this. These, obviously the peats, they drain into the cup, and those are fine.
So
And like I said, the radish seeds, I didn't take a picture of, but they are kind of peeking up over the top of this already. And this is pretty fast. So
then if they want to, after you're done with the lesson, they could take this peat pot and just plant it in the ground somewhere. They have a place to plant it. But if you aren't having them plant in the peat pot, if they're planting directly in the plastic cup, it will be okay without a drain hole in the bottom if they don't overwater.
Put too much water.
If they're using their droppers, their pipettes to water carefully, it'll be okay. If it gets too soggy, they might need an adult to help them use something like maybe a push pin to just poke a little hole in the bottom for drainage. It's so warm if it's in a sunny place, even if they overwater it, within a day or two, needing more water.
Well, they're going to be planted inside, so obviously you're going to have to think about spill and make a mess and things like that. So you'll have to have them think about that as well. So if you get through this sprouting and then the planting, if you have some plants to experiment with, that's the third part of the lesson. That's
sorry, Denise, I'm going to add one other thing. If they do decide they want to poke a little hole for drainage, a thing that can work really nicely underneath that is any kind of a plastic lid that they have that's like the lid to a yogurt top or a sour cream top or anything that might have a little bit of a plastic lid that they can put upside down underneath that to catch any little drips coming out.
So as we're doing all of this, we need to always document. What did you do? When did you do it? What did you notice? What questions do you have? This is from the internet, somebody talking about peppers, just writing about it. And then I love these little notebooks. This is my science notebook. And this is just me taking notes. I wasn't trying to be real professional. I was just saying, I got to make sure I get the time. I got to put everything that I do down so we know why. And I'm, my lovely little flower there. So, and then as it goes, drawing pictures, putting dates, putting times. So on the 27th at 2:10 in the afternoon, I put the radishes in the plastic bag. And then by the next day, just 24 hours later, the first one had sprouted. That's pretty exciting. And the second one sprouted. I have several pages of this. Don't worry. You don't have to look at all of them. I thought maybe the kids would want to see what a teacher that's not a very good artist looks like, and they can probably do that. In terms of experimentation, though, I have a question, because if I'm asking you to do experiments, if I'm the teacher and you're the students and I'm asking you to do experiments, and we're going to change one thing, one variable, I want you to look at what I did and see if you can see what I kind of did wrong. What have I gotten here that's going to make it hard to compare what grows more healthy? Is it going to be radish seeds or green beans or flowers? I don't know. I kind of set it up on purpose so it wasn't a good experiment for changing one variable. And some of the things we could look at in the variables are, do the plants need light? Do they need, will they grow well in the closet as they do out in the sunny room? Will they grow with water or no water? Will they still be healthy if I put them by the stoves, if I put them away from a hot place? About growing without any soil. I mean, if you're gonna do an experiment, maybe you could see how your radish seeds do if you don't put soil in them. So I don't know if I feel like I'm maybe not being clear, but it's just pick up one thing that is a variable to change. I've got too many variables going on.
There are some suggestions of yours.
Okay.
Some started as sprouts and some started as seeds. So
Right. Yeah. So that's not good comparing across the board, is it? Okay. What else? Things are not quite right.
2 have 2 cups and 1 has only 1 cup.
The peat might make a big difference, and I won't be able to tell by this.
Mhm.
It does, unless maybe if the 2 peat containers really well and this one doesn't, maybe I get a little bit of an idea from that, but it's not really a very clear experiment.
And then Lorraine is suggesting in terms of variables that you might want to try, including watering with different things like soda, coffee, milk.
Oh, well, I didn't think about that. That is interesting. Yeah, that would be a good idea. In the lesson plan, I kind of left it open whether the teacher would give the kids ideas or really try to let the kids come up with their own ideas for experimenting.
And this is a place where I'll interject a suggestion. A number of Richmond teachers have been reaching out to ask about, science fair and doing some virtual version of what might have been in the past, a student science fair project or class science fair project. So this is an example of something that you could very easily have be a science fair type project with everyone doing maybe some different variations and sharing their data and what they've learned. Some people doing the same experiment and talking about how in science, when a scientist makes a new discovery, the first thing that other scientists do is go and see if they can make that same thing happen in their lab, right? So it's fine if you have 5 or 10 kids who are testing the exact same variables.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be really interesting to see if they all get very similar results or if they get really different results, and what would that mean? And that's really an important opportunity to talk about the process of science and when scientists make new discoveries, how they figure out if they're onto something, or maybe it was just a weird fluke and some error happened in their lab. Other scientists go, I want to see for myself, and they go set up that same experiment and test it.
And with all of this, I mean, the goal would be, in the end, if the plants live through the experimentation and are still healthy, they could be planted outside somewhere, perhaps. That might be good too. So there's lots of things open there. And then in terms of what do you want your kids to say in terms of experimentation, they just have to come up with a hypothesis, what they think will happen, and then a plan, how they're going to test that, and be more careful than I was and make sure they're only testing one thing at a time. And that can all go in these beautiful little science notebooks that we have. Okay, any questions about any of this? Sure, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you have already done a lot of this. Growing plants is so fast. Okay. Any questions in the chat I need to stop for, or should I go on here?
No, I think I don't see any questions popping up about the lesson plans. The more detailed description of these 3 activities as a lesson is in that shared document that you have, so you can look at that. I don't know if anyone has questions about wanting to see what happens with the soil pellets and if you'd like us to sort of demonstrate, or if you want to have time to experiment with your soil pellet right now. If you've got some water and you want to see what happens, if there's anybody who would like us to kind of do one here while we're talking and see how long it takes.
Got it set up? Okay, let me go away from here then. Are you setting it up here to do?
I can very quickly show, although I don't have a nice document camera, but I can show I have a, I have just in a plastic container here, one of the peat pods. And I'm gonna put a little bit, I'm gonna use a dropper and just add.
And then we can pin you up there.
And I'm gonna add some of the water. And we can kind of let it sit over here and see how long it's gonna take for that to actually absorb the water. How long did it take for you, Denise, when you did yours?
Well, I think I did 2 different kinds. The first one took a little while, and I felt like I had to take the wrapping off, but then on the other ones, I didn't have to take the wrapping off. It just dissolved inside of it. So,
so the peat one has a little bit of a wrapping. And so I'm going to tear it a little bit. I made a little bit of a tear on the top. I don't know if I can hold it.
Yeah, good idea.
Put the water inside there. And so as you experiment with it a little bit, you might get some ideas about what are the parts of this you might want to do asynchronously. What are the parts that you might want to do together with your students on the screen and walk them through it as they are doing it. So I've added a couple of dropperfuls of water, and my little peat coil is starting to expand. And if I had a popsicle stick here, I would probably begin poking at it a little bit to help it spread apart. I've added quite a bunch of water and it's starting to expand. And my guess is if I let it sit here, it'd probably take it about 5 minutes to expand sitting here, but I'll keep it on the side and we can come back to it in a couple minutes and see how it looks.
Okay.
Are you sharing your screen?
I was just holding mine up to the camera. So you would have to.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
And I was trying to, now I can't unpin this. Let me see, go back to gallery. Okay, there we are, all are again, right? Okay. So we move on or more questions?
I
Okay.
think there were some questions about getting their supplies. So be in touch with, they're at your school. You just haven't picked them up. Okay. Some folks have some experience with the pellets and they're sharing their expertise. It's good to keep them whole, to plop in the ground after sprouting. And I think that is how they are used in gardening. So I think that's great. If you just get it wet enough to be loose enough to pop the bean seed in, you don't have to break it apart. And someone said, Kim has said she's never had to tear the soil.
I saw that, yeah.
Just expand. So
well, I think I just got ahead of myself, like a lot with this stuff. I get excited about getting things in my hands like the kids. So the second one I didn't have to tear it or do anything to it either. So I didn't pay that much attention though if it was 2 different ones or not. So I wasn't being a good scientist. I was just too excited.
Great.
Well, before we let you really get into all of that, I did want to share a couple of other resources with you. So I'm going to go back to screen sharing. And this is just other life science resources. The first one, I'm not going to open it up, but it is, let me go back to, actually, I'm not going to go present because I'm going to go somewhere else. Anyway, the first one is an email from West County Digs, which is the West Contra Costa Garden Club. We used to be called the Garden Club. And they have a survey asking people what they want in the garden club, what they would be interested in. So I would encourage you to open this up and answer their survey. And right now I want to show you their website. If you don't know about it, maybe you all know about it, but everybody can see the big, beautiful butterfly, correct? Yeah. They have all kinds of things on here with their programs, what they work on, who they are, news about them. It's a wonderful, I used to love to go. They always had good food too, by the way, but they also had a lot of good science and what to do in gardens and how and all kinds of activities that you could do. And apparently they have all kinds of archives about different things. So I would definitely encourage somebody to go, everybody to go to this website. If I put who we are, you're going to recognize one of the people here. I did that to make you mad, Rachel. There you go. And a little background. They've been around. They weren't always called West County Digs. They've been around for a long time. They finally got, after years of sort of just working on their own, they got the district to fund them a little bit. And I haven't been involved with them, but I was excited to get that email. So I just wanted to share that resource with you. And it's right there. And then another resource I wanted to share is called the Environmental Education Initiative, the EEI. And you can go to it by this, but I'm going to go this way. So it has all kinds of science for all grades. You'll have to sign up for it on your own, though. If you go to curriculum, it will tell you how to get your own. You have to email them. You just contact them at this and say, I would like to be able to access your site. You used to have to take a training. Like the school I worked at, we had a training, and then you can order all this stuff for free. And it's not perfect, and it's not a whole science curriculum, but it is a lot of free stuff that you could use. And once you get your insights, once you get so you can go inside of it, there's just tons and tons of units. And I want to show you just take a minute to show you some of the supplies you can. I just use this with a little group of first graders that I work with called Open. This is called Open Wide, Look Inside. You can't access this until you've got permission from them, but I wanted to show it to you. And you get a big book you could read online with the kids. Got lots of good pictures, and they're all set in California. Lots of good stuff there. And then there's also things that are like the student workbook fillable online that I'm sure you could assign somehow so your kids could fill it out online. For some reason, this is not, of course, because I'm with other people, so it doesn't work. But so they could fill this out online. You have the pictures, you have the words, vocabulary. They just have a lot of different things and lots of different units that you can choose from. I liked this part a lot. And you could go to any grade level, and it doesn't matter what grade you teach. If you found something that you liked better, you could go to that. Sorry, I'm not having a lot of. I just wanted to open it.
Yeah,
okay. I'm not going to worry about it.
Denise, can you go back to that last screen that you had? Because I was just going to ask a question about that. How many people know that California has environmental principles and concepts? It's actually another part of the standards that we are supposed to be teaching. And there was just kind of getting traction this past year before the pandemic came along to incorporate the environmental principles and concepts, the EP&Cs you might have heard reference to, and really look at integrating your science teaching with environmental and climate literacy. And so the EEI curriculum that the state has available, it's free, it's online. This was something that was created a couple of years before the pandemic. And one of the things that a lot of us who do in-person education didn't really like about it was so computer oriented. There was so much online, there were slides, and it was an environmental curriculum that didn't involve necessarily going outdoors with your kids. But of course, during this pandemic, it's been great to have all of these ready-made lessons, the visuals, the slides, the video clips, the reading material. So if you haven't, I know we've shared about it in past workshops and in some of our news blasts, but if you haven't yet, I would really encourage you to check out the EEI resources. And now all you have to do is send an email and they will give you a link. They just want to track who's, how it's being used. Yeah. And it's really, I would encourage you to look for ways to incorporate that. Even as children are coming back on campus, you as creative teachers can find ways to use some of these lessons and go outdoors.
I was trying to get to the list of the lessons, but I can't get there. I don't want to waste. Oh, there we go. So there's all kinds of things. All about human influence on the environment, how we're changing things, and it's not negative particularly. It just lets the kids discover what our activities, how that influences the things around them, the environment around them. I liked it a lot. A lot of other people don't like it. You just have to keep in mind it's in this, like Teresa just said, in this time, it's a good thing to know about because you're online all the time anyway. So, and then one more thing that I wanted to share was the trout in the classroom. And you probably won't access that this year, but
I know a lot of you do that.
Yeah, a lot of people do that. But next year, definitely look into it. It was a wonderful program. I did it for like 5 years. And everything is free, and they bring the eggs, and the kids watch them hatch, and you can get a camera, and then we go and release them. It's just a wonderful program. I know other people have done it. Lots of other people have done it as well. So those are all there for you to access if you want to.
Heidi is sharing that they have videos online now as well.
Yes, they do. Yeah, I guess this year what a lot of people did, or some people did, was the teachers did it all at home or in their classroom, and they had the aquarium, and then they just showed the kids with the cameras and stuff. So, but this was that last picture was the best part, when you go and release the fry into the stream. It was really exciting. In the breakout room, we had the kids wanted to name the sunflowers. The kids always wanted to name these guys too. It's pretty hard to name fry that are going 1,000 miles an hour. But and one last thing is, I used to love to go to conferences, and now all the conferences, as you know, are online. And Vivify is having a life science conference coming up, and I just shared the link there with you. So are there any questions about these resources? They're all there for you if you want them. Definitely check out West County Digs.
Yeah, those are great. Before we go to the breakouts, I wanted to revisit my little soil pod here.
Let me take that off, and I can pin you so everybody can see it.
So it has plumped up to the nice size, and it's nice and soft. So I'll be able to stick a green bean seed right down in there real easily and poke it in and cover it up and plop it either into a peat pot or one of those plastic cups to observe the growth. So you don't have to stir it and break it up if you want to keep it whole and keep this nice netting around it that kind of keeps the pod whole. And so that took about 6 to 7 droppers full of water in about 5 minutes till it expanded to its full size. So that's something, younger kids could be keeping a tally of every time they put a dropper full of water. If you're trying to incorporate some counting, they could measure how much of the height changed. All those things that you can bring into it to bring and ways for them to keep track of that data in their science notebook.
Okay. Am I still sharing? I don't know what happened. There's a big of Teresa's wall. Okay, I did that. I'm sorry, I did the wrong thing here. All right, I just wanted to show you what you have time to do now. It's time to sort your materials, look at some of the resources I just shared, And we'd like you to talk about how you would use or modify that we shared and other resources you might use for life science lessons. And there is a return ticket when we come back. You're going to get, what is it, about 10 minutes of time or?
Yeah, we'll give about 10 to 15. No, yeah, almost 15 minutes, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. And then when we come back together, we'd like to hear some of your ideas. So are there questions about breakout rooms or anything else?
I'm going to put in the chat right now for you to see the list of what should be going into your student
Right.
for the individual students. And I can put you back in the same breakout groups we were just in. And as you take some time to sort your materials or look over the resources and plan your lessons, you can chat with those in your same grade level. If there's somebody who has questions and you want to be in a come back out to the main room to ask us questions, you can use that button on the lower right hand corner that says leave room, and you can come back out to the main room and ask questions. Is there anybody who has any questions before we give you time to go and sort your materials and chat with some of your grade level peers and think about how you can begin to use these lessons and these resources throughout the next few weeks of spring? Everybody's good? You know what you're gonna do? 15 minutes. And when you come back, we're gonna have that question, one goal that you have that you're gonna share out. Awesome. All right, here you go. Yay, everyone is back. Coming back.
Okay, I need to have clarification because
Yes.
I am not a green thumb person at all, and I don't want to do this wrong. The little peat pellets are what goes in the plastic cups?
Yeah,
Little flower thing, and then the seeds go in these?
the seeds you can just sprout in the Ziploc bag and the paper towels, but if you want to plant them, you can use
So this
the
is for
peat.
afterwards, once they start sprouting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then they transfer into here with some soil.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And the beans don't sprout quickly. That was a mistake I made. They probably eventually will, but they don't sprout. Just sprout the wheat, grass, and the radishes. But then you can plant the beans too.
So the beans, when you put in the cup and you expand the pellet, then you just have the kids poke the bean seed right in the top and cover it with a little soil.
Okay, so that's the string bean ones go in
Yeah.
in the pellet.
Yeah.
Okay, and they put one in each of the pellets?
You
Because
could
there's
have
two
them
different
put one in
pellets.
each. Yeah, you could have them put one in each. If you want to have them combine like 2 in each and have one of the other pellets for some radish seeds, you can do that too.
Okay, all right, yeah, because there's not any directions on what to do, so I didn't know which
Well,
way
there
to-
is a lesson plan
The
that
lesson plan's
has a little
written.
bit of guidance, but it does also have options. So
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So in that
And-
document, there's the
Okay,
lesson
and
plan.
so, and the lesson plans in with everything that,
Yes, it's on
okay.
that shared document, and then you'll get an email that has the link of it, and then it
Oh,
will
perfect.
also be posted on the website where we keep all of those resources archived.
Oh,
You
perfect.
can always ask us, I can't find the link.
or you could just email somebody.
And bookmark.
Okay, thank you.
I put an exit ticket survey in the chat. So with our last couple of minutes here, I would like to say, please copy that link and fill in that exit survey. I'll give you a minute or two at the end. And that would be, we'd really appreciate it. And it's gonna put you, as I mentioned at the beginning, right in the running for that Science Superstar recognition. John is mentioning that there's not a sign-in sheet or time card necessary. We're going to be using the Zoom login to track who was here, but if you want to make sure we know you're here, type your name into the chat. I think we've caught most of you. The exit ticket I will put in again. Someone is asking, maybe I didn't hit return.
Oh, there we go.
And the other thing I wanted to mention, it'll be in the news blast that you get this week, but one of the things we are celebrating this spring is reaching 200,000 students with our BASIS program, our in-class program, our virtual classroom, and you teachers who've been hosting BASIS scientists have made those inspiration opportunities possible. And so we would love to hear from kids themselves, meeting a scientist, doing a cool science activity. How does it inspire them? And so if you can invite them to draw a picture, write about meeting a scientist or some experience they had in science, something that inspired them, and send that into us. They can mail it to us directly. You can send it to us as a slides or a PDF, whatever's easy for you. We would love to give some prizes out to kids too and hear about their inspiration in science. So look for more information about that in the news blast. Denise, I want to thank you for leading everybody through these 2 sessions of life science at a distance. And I encourage all of you to really just, we hold you all up. You are also inspirational during this very difficult year of still being determined to make sure that science happens for your kids. And I just want to congratulate you all on that. And thanks to John and Tracy for supporting you and making this partnership work. So please take the exit survey, which helps us to see how this is helping you and what else we can do to continue to plan this summer. Everybody's going to need to recover from this crazy year that we've had, but thinking as we go into the new school year, what can we do to recharge our batteries and keep science going? So we want to hear from you. Anything more you want to add, Denise?
No, good luck. I'm so impressed that you do what you do. Really, it's amazing.
So I asked everyone to have a share out, one goal. Can you type into the chat your one goal? And John, while they're doing that, anything that you or Tracy want to add?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, teachers, for being here. Thank you for coming this afternoon. I know there's a ton of stuff going on. So thank you for being here. And it's really exciting to be able to have life science materials. So thank you to CRS and Teresa and Denise for helping make that happen for us and for our kids. So just really excited about this opportunity and excited that kids are going to get their hands a little dirty and maybe see some things happen.
I love to see the goals coming in, kids to kids.
The kids to the kids, yes.
Teaching virtually, I love it.
I'll just add another thank you for all that you do for your students. I know it's coming up on spring break and you've got a lot on your mind, but I appreciate those extra hours of effort and giving your students those fun experiences that make them love school and nature. So thank you.
Wonderful. Well, we'll be here if anyone wants to hang out and ask some questions. We are here. I would ask you to please do the survey, take a couple minutes, and thank you so much for joining us. And we're always here to answer your questions, so reach out anytime. And we will still have more scientist opportunities going out in the next couple of weeks. So keep your eyes open for those.